Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod. I'm here to talk about Big Brother UK 2023, day 28 to 34, and the 7th and 8th double eviction on Friday. A lot happened in the Twitterverse between Friday and when I'm recording this video, which definitely plays into the way I feel about the episodes. And I have a lot of notes, so let's just dive into it. On day 28, previously, Paul and Dylan were evicted. Now we're heading into the Big Brother Hunger Games, and I'm really excited for this. It seems like a lot of fun. We flash back to before the eviction on day 28. Paul and Trish clear the air, and then Paul and Dylan are evicted as we knew already. Right afterwards, Olivia says to Tom that Naki and Trish did this, blaming them for the evictions. Tom cries in Jenkins' arms, boo hoo hoo. These three are so bitter. I hope that they're the next three out. Trish and friends are joking around, and Paul's posse go to the balcony to be away from them. Trish and Naki feel like they'll be nominated again this week. The house unpack that now it's feeling like 4 versus 6, and this house divide is going to be a big theme of the week. Chanel says she's leaving the room, and Trish makes a comment. Instantly, Tom calls Trish aggressive, and Olivia seems to be the only person in this group who's open to a conversation with the other side of the house. Maddie and Henry talk while Jordan eavesdrops, and they really are both talking about Jordan, more along the lines of we're all platonic, right? Maddie asks Henry if he feels like he led Jordan on. Henry says that he doesn't think so, and Henry says that he feels like Jordan has led Henry on. I feel like Maddie led Jordan on. Jordan gets so pissy about them talking about him and gives Henry the cold shoulder for the rest of the night. On day 29, the house guests wake up to triumphant Hunger Games music. Big Brother welcomes them to the Big Brother Hunger Games. They have become tributes and are separated into 2 districts. Jordan is still pissed at Maddie and Henry for talking about him the night before. At the end of the day, 1 tribute from the winning team will be safe from eviction. 1 tribute from the losing team will be nominated. The first challenge is balance and dexterity. The gold district nominates Chanel and blue nominates Olivia. They have to take turns setting a rock on a table, and whoever tips the balance of the table loses. The challenge goes on and on, but Olivia eventually tips the table and loses to Chanel. Jordan tells Trish that he's salty that Maddie and Henry were conspiring against him. She encourages him not to judge them for scenarios he's played out in his head. Jenkin and Tom face off in an endurance competition holding up rocks. They both do well, but Jenkin drops and Tom wins it for the gold team. The final challenge of the day is called Rose Raid, where they all have to collect roses colored to match their teams, and it's just chaos, and then the Hunger Games are over. I feel like whoever plans the Hunger Games on the Big Brother house didn't watch the movies. Somehow, this should have all played out over the course of a few days, and it should have been the last person left living wins immunity, but whatever. I guess they promoted the Hunger Games in the UK, so if the box office success of that movie in the UK is phenomenal, you can really give credit to Big Brother's one day of events. The gold team has to decide who gets immunity, and they pick Chanel, who at this point seems to be universally liked in the house. The blue team has to decide who to nominate, and Jordan and Jenkin volunteer. Yinrin wants to be nominated because she wants to feel like she's part of the show. Trish is bold and says she wants Olivia or Jenkin to be nominated, and in the end, Jenkin and Olivia vote for Jordan, and then Jordan, Yinrin, and Trish vote for Jenkin, so Jenkin will be nominated. Chanel is not happy with Trish for accusing Jenkin of cornering her, and she calls Trish catty. In the evening, it's Jenkin's birthday, so they get some refreshments. During the party, Jordan apologizes to Henry for giving him the cold shoulder. Later, Yinrin asks Jenkin to talk, and he says no offense, but no. But they have a quick hug, and Yinrin seems tipsy, so maybe that's why he didn't want to talk. Then Henry cries in the diary room, feeling like he was ghosted by Jordan in real life, and now Jordan wanted to apologize. Overall, this ends up being a really sympathetic character arc for Henry, and clearly Henry has fallen victim to some level of gaslighting manipulation from Jordan. Jenkin's party overall seems like a lot of fun. They all dance on the couches, except for Jordan, who eats and watches, and Chanel falls off the couch, which seems like she fell off the couch on purpose. Outside, Paul's friends are still upset with Trish for calling him a bully, saying that she made it up. Inside, Trish tells Jordan she's surprised they feel this way. She doesn't trust Chanel, and Jenkin is a snake. At night, Jordan gets in Henry's bed and pulls a sheet over him just to tell him that they're just friends. This is just a long-term manipulative con. I'm really starting to dislike Jordan for this treatment of Henry. The next day, on day 30, Jenkin goes to Trish asking for a fresh start. She says, I don't want to say that if you're just going to talk crap about me right after. In the bedroom, Trish tells Yinrin and Naki she wishes people wouldn't come to her and pretend to make an effort when they really don't. She wishes that they'll just leave her alone, and Yinrin guffaws and says, spicy Patricia. On the balcony, Jordan doesn't cover his sneeze and sneezes like Honey Boo Boo right onto his chest and into the circulated communal air. Jenkin and Yinrin do end up talking in the kitchen, and she reminds him that she said that when she approaches him, he just walks away. They end up hugging it out, and then he says that he needs to go change his boxers. She says, what's that? He answers, my underwear, and she looks him up and down in shock. For their daily challenge, they each have a block of ice with a key in it. The first person to melt their ice down to get their key will win £1,000. Yinrin is really going to town on her block, but she breaks the rules and is disqualified. Jordan and Trish, who both don't seem to care, are also disqualified. Henry ends up getting the key and skips to the diary room. He says he'll either put the money towards rent or just take the other housemates to a bar and open a tab. On the balcony, Maddie accuses Jordan of being insensitive, having unhealthy communication, and being selfish in the way that he cut him off. In the diary room, Trish is tired of having to explain herself over and over again and is tired of being called aggressive all the time. She feels bad about nominating Jenkins on his birthday because she already felt like he hated her. Tom also has a diary saying he feels like his group is next to go and is worried that he's next to be canceled as well, so he's going to keep his distance from Trish. In the living area, the housemates are playing Tower of Dares, which is just Jenga with dares, I guess. It looks kind of fun. Jordan gets ketchup poured in his mouth. Yinrin does jumping jacks. Henry topples the tower and has to do the ultimate dare, so everyone prepares an embarrassing outfit and he becomes Miss Fierce Bunnylicious Diva. At the end of the night, Naki and Maddie say that they admire Trish's honesty, but feel like sometimes she can be too honest. On day 31, Big Brother gathers them in the living room to tell them that there have been security breaches, and they have a safety box they have to sit in and a security hut. They have to follow security protocols to win the luxury shopping budget. So they'll all take turns being security guards, and intruders will arrive 2 at a time. The intruders are loved ones from the outside. The security guards have to decide who gets their loved one visit and who they have to banish. Jordan says, whoever visits for me, block them. They're told they aren't allowed to talk to the loved ones, and Jenkins says, I don't care about the rules. I will be talking to my loved ones. Yinrin cries to Trish that her boyfriend has autism and that it won't be easy for him to do this. Trish is a good friend to Yinrin again and offers her coffee, and Yinrin cries alone, shouting, why? Jordan tells Henry again he's okay with not seeing his relatives and he doesn't care, which is fine, but it kind of come across as roasting your relatives on TV, and my mom would be so mad at me. Jenkins and Jordan are the first on shift for the task. They decide between Naki's sister and Chanel's dad. They end up choosing Chanel's dad, and her dad tells her that she's been awesome and that he's proud. It's sweet, but having the loved ones talking to the back of their heads is kind of awkward and like they're being spoken to by a spirit. They tell Naki that her sister was there and she walks away crying, and good friend Trish chases her down to support her. Olivia and Maddie are the next security guards. They have to decide between Henry's sister and Jordan's cousin, which is an easy decision because Jordan said he doesn't want the visit. Jenkins says he hopes his visitor will be his mother, but he doesn't think that it will be because she's been ill for a while. Yinrin and Naki are next in the security room, and they have to decide between Jenkins' mom, who is there, and Tom's best friend. I hope that they pick Jenkins' mom, and this was a no-brainer in my book. The second she says, hiya, Jenkins, they all get emotional, and I do too. This was one of the sweetest moments in Big Brother history, and I'm glad that it happened. Chanel and Trish are next at their shift, and they have to decide between Maddie's boyfriend and Yinrin's boyfriend, but Maddie's boyfriend isn't really there and will only be there on a video call from America. Trish fights for Yinrin, and Chanel wants Maddie to get the love. They almost eject Yinrin's boyfriend, but they don't, and it ends up being so cute. Trish is beside herself with happy tears in the security room watching, and Yinrin cries against the door after he leaves. Maddie ends up destroyed that he didn't get the love, and it's not even funny or good TV, but when Trish tells him that his boyfriend wasn't even there, that he was in America, he instantly is fine and doesn't care anymore, which is kind of funny. Tom and Henry have to decide between Trish's and Olivia's sisters. They decide on Olivia because she lost all of her friends in the house and she's been emotional all day. Trish and Olivia have a good moment afterwards, being cordial and kind about it. Tom, Jenkins, Olivia, and Chanel all agree that they're kind of wrong about Trish. Later in the diary room, Olivia admits that she feels like she was wrong about Trish, wearing her giant hat that she got in the Vintage Challenge. At the end of the night, Chanel and Olivia are speculating about nominations, and Jenkins tells them to stop, and they stop. On day 32, the house guests are woken up to loud rock music. Today, they'll take part in Big Brother's Big Dance Challenge. When they hear a sound, they'll have to go dance in the yard. This challenge just looks like a lot of fun, and Big Brother tells them they'll have to do their nominations in their outfits for the challenge. Later on, Big Brother tells them that they broke the rules regarding nominations for the conversation the night before. Basically, Chanel hinted that she was nominating Trish, and Olivia acknowledged that it helped her to make the decision. Chanel has lost her immunity and can be nominated, and Olivia has lost her ability to nominate. And Olivia has to get electrocuted while she writes, I will not break the rules. Is Professor Umbridge in the control room for the show? Trish storms away and Naki and Yinrin console her. They have to do their nominations, and here's who got nominated and the reasons that they were nominated. Jordan makes Jenkins uncomfortable and is sarcastic. Maddie nominated Jordan for being spiky to him. Trish dismissed Jenkins when he wanted to make amends. Makes Tom feel like he's walking on eggshells and is hard to read. Chanel for being a hypocrite, breaking the rules, snakes and does things behind their backs, is closed off to being friends with Yinrin, cried at an inappropriate time. Tom for being a sheep still, dedicated to misjudging Trish and is negative. Olivia, Maddie loves nominating Olivia. She's loud, annoying, unfair, blamed Trish for Paul's eviction, speaks at people, schemes against the other group. Naki, for bouncing between the groups, walked away from an argument and let Trish take the blame for her conflict. Suspicious friend group hopping. Yinrin cries at bad times when it's not her issue. So Chanel, Olivia, Naki, and Trish will all join Jenkin being nominated this week, and it'll be a double eviction, so I'm grateful for that efficiency. And at the point of nominations, I'm hoping that Jenkin and Chanel are evicted together because it seems about right. Chanel cries to herself in the garden, and Big Brother tells them all to start dancing, and Chanel's crying turns into happiness on the dance floor. Big Brother tells them that they passed the task and they've won a feast. They gather in the living room to find out the results of the nominations. Afterwards, Trish storms off and Chanel keeps defending her rule break. The housemates win burritos, margaritas, and tequila. BBUS would never. At night, before bed, Chanel breaks down to Maddie saying that she feels overwhelmed. The next day, Maddie tells Trish that Chanel is upset and Trish is tired of going around in circles, clearing things up, and then having the same things happen over and over. Olivia overhears this and brings it to Chanel, and Chanel calls Trish a bitch, which, eek. They get a task to be guests on BB's podcast called Real Talk. Henry, Trish, and Maddie talk about politics. It all gets very serious with them talking about politics. Henry gets the ability to share his trolling, unpopular opinions that are what got him onto the show. Trish expresses that she feels judged and ganged up on, and that her support circle haven't really stood up for her either, and that she's facing microaggressions left and right. In the balcony, Olivia and Trish do a good job clearing the air, and these two have always had a great way of managing their relationship, so they don't go head to head, because Olivia versus Trish would be a terrible thing for the house and for both of them and for us. The next podcast segment is Women's Half Hour with Chanel, Naki, Yinrin, and Tom? That's how the announcer announced this. Yinrin does a good job moderating, and I would listen to Yinrin's podcast. Yinrin even ends up doing some ASMR gargling, but I still don't understand why Tom was included on this. I guess because he was Paul's little misogynist in training. This day also saw some further deterioration of the Jordan and Maddie relationship. They're making comments that offend each other, and there's always some saltiness between them, and it's really bad to the point that Maddie nominated Jordan. They have a fake apology between them and conclude that they're never going to get along. Finally, Jordan, Jenkin, and Olivia are doing an advice podcast. This one will be broadcast to the house, and they conclude that fingering is a dying art. Overall, all of the podcasts were a big flop for me because Big Brother did a bad job of giving them questions that would cause drama. At night, Jordan and Trish have a little bit of a tiff where she comes up to him and tells him not to tell Chanel things about their group, and he tells her, "Don't get in my face, and I can tell Chanel anything I want." Chanel has a diary room where she cries, saying that she's not having fun anymore and feels iced out. We get onto the Friday night eviction, and AJ is wearing a BDSM wedding dress, and Will is switching things up, downgrading from a suit to a smart collared cardigan. Asking the BB community, I noticed that AJ and Will are wearing pins. What cause are they supporting? In the house on day 34, Jordan tells us that everyone pretty much has gotten over the house split, but that Chanel and Trish are the only ones who really have it out for each other. Jenkin diaries that he's enjoying getting to know everyone in the house on potentially his last few days, and Jordan kisses his picture on the memory wall. He says, "It's self-love. If you can't love yourself, how can you love somebody else?" And Trish says, "Okay, RuPaul." Chanel and Trish finally talk. Chanel starts off on a bad note, saying she feels like she's getting the brunt of Trish being angry. They really go around in circles, but get everything off their chests, communicating their point of views, and they hug it out. Afterwards, Chanel basically tells Jenkin that she feels like she's the spokesperson for hating Trish, and feels like she wasn't. I actually don't know when Chanel became the fall person either, because she kind of was actually the friendliest person with the other side of the house and seemed the least involved in the division like a week ago, and that one comment she made that broke the rules really set things off on a snowball. For their daily task, they dress as chickens, with Naki and Maddie being foxes. The foxes need to catch the chickens for a takeaway, and if some chickens survive, the surviving chickens will win, and the foxes will be blindfolded. It's really fun and silly, and Chicken, Chanel, and Tom win the game. Later on, they play a game of bingo with tasks involved, and they have to complete the tasks to mark their card. Jenkin is a fun host for this. They have to swap clothes, eat chilies, answer truths, and Trish dances with a full pot of soup balanced on her head and wins the bingo. So we move on to the eviction, and the 7th housemate evicted is Chanel, who had immunity from this eviction, and the fact that they stripped her of that after one rule break is insane, especially given that Helen on her season had immunity the whole season, despite breaking the rules all the time and getting multiple formal warnings from Big Brother about her behavior, but okay. Also, that rule break didn't really seem that bad, and they should have just sent her to jail outside. And of course, they announced the rule break right before nominations, which pretty much guarantees Chanel being nominated. Overall, Chanel seemed like a very fun housemate, like someone who I feel like definitely belongs on the show. However, she seemed like a really weird contribution to this cast. Like, I always felt like this group of people was just not the best group of people for us to be seeing the funnest parts of Chanel. I also feel like she would say things that were really insanely dumb on purpose to be funny or to get positive attention from the public, like when she said that there were 2 moons. Chanel, come on now. You know that there is only 1 moon in that sky. So that just came across as really transparent to me, but overall, she seemed like someone who was really friendly with everyone in the house. Even when the group's divisions were happening, she had that thing where she was talking to Yinrin and everyone was telling her not to talk to Yinrin. I was expecting her, of all of her friends, to be the one to make it to the final. But then when she broke the rules, she really comes across randomly as the spokesperson for the house divide. And you could tell that she got very frustrated with that and she wanted to clear it up, but Trish didn't have interest in resolving it with her. Overall, I can see how that's a very frustrating experience for her. She wasn't even having any fun anymore and said that she was over it and wanted to go home. So here she ends up being the 7th person evicted and someone we probably won't remember in a year's time. So then the 8th housemate to be evicted ends up being Trish, which really shocks me to a jaw-dropping level. And I guess this is just what happens with vote to evict. The big personalities just end up getting a lot of votes, but Trish ends up having a really great exit and the crowd really loves her. Probably one of the best receptions from an evicted house guest in a long time that I could remember. Talking about Trish in the house, she definitely had a big personality, and I said over and over again in my recaps that Trish is a great friend. She knows how to be there and to be supportive of people. Through that, ends up helping to cultivate a really fun group of friends in the house. She was involved in some of the more juicy drama in the season, ending up getting in a few fights and being on the right side of them for the most part. Then she was really blamed for the house split, even though it wasn't really her fault. Though after surviving eviction a few times, I feel like she really realized that it was in her best interest that the house split kept happening and portraying the other side of the house as villains. For example, Jenkin or Chanel would want to go to her and talk, and she would put off the conversation, really prolonging the I'm in the right experience. She also did say multiple times that she was dealing with a lot of microaggressions in the house, which I completely agree because we saw them on TV. Then she gets evicted, she has this really great reception from the crowd, and then like the next day or two later, all these tweets come out of her being racist and homophobic, offensive. I saw the tweets, they were bad, so I'm by no means here to sing the praises. Obviously, you write 7 pages of notes and you're ready to sing the praises of this person, and then you find out all these things and it's awful and they're canceled. So that's what we're left with. It's just a big mess. And I overall have been enjoying this season of Big Brother UK, but I feel like the production team really has made this a big sloppy mess. I'm excited for this season to come to a close, but I'm really hoping that we do end up getting Celebrity Big Brother and another season of this where they can improve on some of the mistakes that they made. So that's all I have for you today. I know this recap was a little longer than the others, so if you're still listening to this, I really appreciate you. And don't forget to subscribe because I'll be back whenever the next evictions start happening, and expect a few videos towards the end of the season because there's a few evictions coming. Until next time, have a nice week. Bye!